I've just been to see Paddington 3, Paddington in Peru, and I absolutely loved it. But we've already got the confirmation of Paddington 4, and the film ended with a rather suspicious post-credits scene. So today, we're going to discuss what that post-credits scene means, we're going to explain it all, and what it might mean for Paddington 4. But before we go any further, this video will have massive spoilers for Paddington in Peru. You have been warned. After Paddington had found his tribe in El Dorado and decided to return to London rather than stay in El Dorado, in a very sad emotional moment, we get a really fun little bit at the end where the bears from El Dorado, from Paddington's original tribe, decide to come to London, and we get to see them riding the London buses and taking a tour around Paddington's new home. But while they go sightseeing around London, they end up in a prison with a very familiar looking pink dyed prison suit. Of course, Paddington's fault from when he accidentally dyed all of the prison suits pink in Paddington 2 when he was framed and was locked up. But interestingly, who were they visiting? None other than the villain of Paddington 2, Phoenix Buchanan, the big famous actor who framed Paddington that got him in prison in the first place. At the end of Paddington 2, when Paddington saves the day, they lock up Phoenix Buchanan in prison, and we actually get a really hilarious post-credit scene where he puts on a big dance choreography show in the prison with the other prisoners. And this new post-credit scene is sort of like a nod to that, with Phoenix describing how his next performance is going to be Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and he's already picking out of Paddington's home tribe who is going to play Mummy Bear, who's going to play Daddy Bear, and who's going to play Baby Bear. However, there was something even bigger that he said. It was a simple throwaway and you'll miss it line, but it's very important. He says to Paddington that he'll shortly be released because of good behaviour, which could be foreshadowing that in Paddington 4, we are going to get the return of Phoenix Buchanan, which could give us an idea as to what Paddington 4 potentially could be about. And if Hugh Grant was willing to return to Paddington 3 purely for one scene in a post-credit scene, that to me would suggest that he's definitely up for returning to Paddington 4 if Sony and Studio Canal want him to return. It very much feels like a sort of MCU post-credit scene ending where it's foreshadowing what is going to happen in the next film. So what does this mean for the fourth film? Well, the fourth film could see Paddington having to face his past in Britain for the first time. These last three films have very much been about Paddington having to face his past from before he arrived in London, facing his past in Peru. We had Montgomery Clyde in the first film. The second film is all about Paddington trying to find a book for Aunt Lucy's birthday present so that he can return it to Peru. And then in the third film, they literally go to Peru and visit Paddington's homeland. But as we saw at the end of this film, Paddington makes the decision to leave Peru permanently and permanently stay in Britain. And so I think that's a sign that he's definitely leaving his past behind now and looking towards the future. And so I think in the fourth film, if he does begin looking at the past, it'll be looking at his past whilst he's been in London, so whilst these three films have taken place. So it's the perfect opportunity for him to reflect on these past three films, and with that, maybe bring back some characters and some villains from those past films. If they do bring Phoenix back, it could be Paddington has to team up with Phoenix, team up with an older enemy in order to fight a new enemy, maybe using Phoenix's drama and disguise techniques that Paddington will have to use and get help with in order to defeat whichever villain there is in number 4. Or it could be how Paddington copes with Phoenix being released early and the whole film sees him fear for what might happen and whether or not he should trust Phoenix or not. And then Phoenix could end up being the villain of Paddington 4 as well. We could see Phoenix plot a revenge plan to bring back all of Paddington's past villains, such as Mr. Hunter and the Reverend Mother from this latest film, and maybe even Millicent Clyde, who was my favourite villain out of all of these films, from the first film, who we know is having to serve her time in a zoo picking up Pooh. Since all the villains are still around, we could potentially see a team up of them all coming together to try and get revenge on Paddington, and if Paddington 4 is the last film, that would make for a hell of a good last film. And that way, we could also have the proper return of all of Paddington's past friends that he's made in these 3 films, such as a team up of Paddington's El Dorado clan, the sisters who protect the retired bears, his prison inmate friends, and his neighbours from the past 3 films. This is already getting me so excited for what Paddington 4 could entail, and I think this post-credit scene is definitely here intentionally to foreshadow something is about to happen with a return of previous villains for the 4th film. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think this explains why this post-credit scene is here, or do you think it's just a fun little nod to Paddington 2 but in Paddington 3? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments, and as always, we've been here on Gated Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Without a trace, you left me where no one can find me. There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent.